Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor. Now it's time for your weekend tech tip, brought to you by Chevy Silverado.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, there's always questions about a number of different things at that exact moment. That's one of the best parts about Outdoor GPS, is that this is like literally live. We're going to talk about shrimp spinners, just like what Shane was referring to, that he's using up in the wind area, and for that matter, all over the Willamette right now. The Columbia, if there were some sort of an opener, there's going to be a lot of folks chasing salmon around with 360s and shrimp spinners. I know that I will be going forward. But this is just a couple of basic things that I like to do. Again, this is what I like. I have to keep saying that, believe it or not. You know who you are. What I've got here are a number of different ways to set up different rigs for fishing behind 360s in particular. If it were a Pro Troll like what Shane likes to run for whatever reason, or the Evolution Flasher from Brad's, which is extremely popular, especially in that Drano fishery. But what I've got here is a couple of different setups. First things I want to point out is if you take a look at these two different coon shrimp here, you've got one that's kind of got a different shape to it than this one here. I would call this particular one perfect, right? It's got a nice perfect bend right out of the jar. And then you have a couple that are a little bit wonky, right? They're just a little bit different than these. Now, I'm going to hook these up differently, specifically because of the way they're coming out of the jar. Now, you're going to go, well, why would you do that? Because the two different hook placements are very specific. So first things first, let's take a look at this rig here. This is a size 3.5 mulky blade on an interchangeable clevis. That's an Oregon tackle, interchangeable clevis. And then a mooching rig with a trailer ring, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Treble hook right behind it. This is a 2/0 and a size 2 treble hook, and this particular one is fixed. I also have one here that is a slider. Okay, but we'll talk about that in a second for a reason. So with this particular setup, and you can see that they're all very, very similar. We're going to get to this one here that might make you go, what the heck is that thing? But we'll show you that in a second. Okay, so talking about the ones that come out of the jar that just have a little bit different of a tail, where they're not perfect like these ones here. I actually like running these by putting the hook through the side, not through the middle of the back of the bait, but right through the side at the very top. And I try to get as much meat as possible. And I'm going to come in, and I'm not doing anything too specific here, other than I want my hook to not get all gummed up. So typically I'd have a glove on my right hand. I don't know why I decided just to do it with my left. And you can see that hook will just grab onto that thing. But if you run this just like that, there you go. With the hook going through the side of the bait, out the other side, that treble ends up right by the eyes of that bait. And to be honest with you, there's a reason why one of these setups here is a sliding setup. I'd call that pretty close to perfect. It's a little bit closer to the hook than I would sometimes like, and that's where you might grab a little bit smaller shrimp. Although, again, when you see that profile just like that, it is a sweet little setup, and it just looks beautiful in the water. So that's just one setup, one way that you can put the hooks through. You don't have to get too crazy. Again, when I go sideways, it's just when I got that goofy looking bait. Now, when I've got a perfect bait, like this particular one, I'm going to take this rig here, which is a sliding setup, okay? It's the same concept, same set of beads, roughly. You know, I do like having a little bit bigger bead, and then I make them smaller to get up to a size 4 bead as your bearing bead. 6s right here, then this is a couple of 8s. But with this sliding setup, I can actually change the way that I position these hooks. We'll get to that in a second. So with this perfect bait, I'm going to go in. I always start at the top, and I want to come out ultimately where it's going to end up looking just like that. I want to grab as much meat as I can and make sure that it's going to stay on there as long as possible, but yet run flat. I don't want it spinning back there, because that just makes a lot of issues. And I think that the fish like it a little bit better when it's just stagnant there. All right, so now that I just popped that barb through, you can see that now that hook lays just a little bit further back than that first one that I showed you, which is definitely nice, but if you're really trying to make your baits compact, if you're trying to shrink them down, you can do that by changing this with that sliding hook, okay? This is a size 2 hook right here, a little bit smaller. And then again, same size. This is a size 1, I believe. No, yeah, size 1 treble hook. And with this slider, I can either run it longer if I have a bigger bait, getting it back a little bit further, or if I want to condense it and make that bait a little bit more compact, I can just grab a hold of it, slide it forward. And if you really want to make it compact, you can go ahead and get that treble and just kind of get it into the bait itself. And you can see that barb will usually hold on for me. And then you go ahead and pull that line through the slider, and now it's very compact, and that bait is just sitting in there relatively perfect, and it's not going to bounce around. It's not going to spin, okay? It's going to just stay nice and flat when it's in the water, and then that blade's going to give it plenty of room to spin, and it just looks gorgeous in the water. So a sliding setup and then a fixed setup, they both work very good, but the slider might give you just a few more options on how you position those hooks. Next thing I'm going to show you real quickly, and Ryan, keep me honest on time here, please. This, as you can see, are 2-aught hooks, a size 1 treble hook, a little bit bigger than these here. I'm terrible with sizes. I hope I'm not missing that. But I've got a fixed setup here. Actually, this one shouldn't be fixed. That should be the slider. It is. So I've got two 2-aughts, a 2-aught and then a treble, and that is on a fixed setup here. I run this setup for full-size prawns, not the little guys, not the little coon shrimp, but for the full size, and I rig them and run them exactly the same way. And you're going to go, well, why would you do that? It's just going to be a bigger bait behind the 360, and it's going to slow the rotation down. It's just not going to work right. Not true. When they're curled up like this, in this situation, when I'm using a full-size prawn rigged just like a little guy, I'm going generally a little bit faster. It gives your presentation a much different look. You're not being too concerned with, the durability of the bait. Typically, the full-size prawns can be more durable. It all depends on the process securing. But I like to do that. And on that same note, this exact one has never been fished behind a 360. It's only been fished behind the boat when I'm on anchor. Because all you're doing is fishing the same thing here. You're just increasing the size. And the same theory goes. As far as the rigging of a full-size prawn, you might go straight through right here if it's a perfect bait, if you're trying to keep it nice and flat, not making any movement. And if I got one that's just a little bit wonky, I'll go right through the side here and have that exact same setup. Now, real quickly, before I go too far, I'm going to barbecue your mind just a little bit. Here is a hot tamale. Hot tail, excuse me, hot tamale. Scott, that's for you. Hot tails. Go ahead and show that quick little video that I gave you, Ryan, of what, I see myself, I don't see the video. But this little guy here put in some work last year. Now, I showed this little video and I showed you some success with it last year as well. But I want you to see, and if you can, Ryan, go ahead and just back up or let me see it. There you go. That is just beautiful. It looks great in the water. The fish are certainly agreeable to it. And it just changes what bait you're all these fish are coming up and they're seeing the same bait pretty much from everyone. That little hot tails looks different, sounds different. It doesn't have the metal in it to have any sort of a magnetic field to it. I know that might sound strange to some, but it's a thing. And then, of course, you can see what happens with that hot tail. It actually does work. When that photo does pop up, you can see how small that actually is. With that small shrimp behind it, it just looks killer. And again, if you want to change it up a little bit, you want to run a little bit different bait than what everyone else is doing, rig everything up exactly the same way, but put a hot tail in front of it. Just try it. Buy one. If you're like, whoa, what the heck, these little things? They're made for kokanee, okay? It's a kokanee bait, but they work very, very well for spring Chinook as well. And for fall Chinook, it's silvers. Anyway, certainly something to look into. All right, we're going to cut to a break. When we come back, we're going to have Cameron Kennedy from CK Sport Fishing for the first time here on Outdoor GPS. We'll be right back.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Yakima Bait, steeped in tradition, innovation, and fishing success. Procure Bait Sense, ruthlessly effective. And by North American Metals Incorporated, first choice for all your metal roofing and siding needs.